So, today I'm going to attempt to draw the Permian synapsid Estemenisuchus. As you can see, I've got a reference image of a fossil skeleton. I don't like to use an image that someone's already drawn of a fleshed out animal, because that can give you many influences, subconscious or not, and it can impact how you draw something. That's one of the main issues of Palaeoart, what we call memes, or tropes, that all paleo artists seem to fall into, simply because we've assumed that that's how a creature looked, because we've always done it this way. When really, there's very few things we can actually tell from a fossil without the soft tissue preserved. I picked Estemenisuchus, or the crowned crocodile, because while I was at the Horniman Museum, I went to a pop-up exhibition about Devonian and Permian animals. I loved the exhibit, but was fascinated by this creature, an omnivorous therapsid, like an ancestor to mammals. And the way it looked in Palaeoart just seemed so odd, so I think it's a good example of a fossil that I can use to demonstrate some themes and issues of Palaeoart. First, we attempt to stretch the muscle over bone. Most paleo artists do this in a very minimalist way without realising it, and it can make their dinosaurs or other creatures look very unnatural or very bony and unhealthy. Muscle tissue is one of the things that can be partially assumed due to muscle attachment points on fossil bones and the evidence of wear on bones. The weight of the bones and the size of the animal are also very important when calculating actual muscle mass of a prehistoric animal. In the video description, I'll leave some links to some videos on how paleontologists can work out the muscle attachment and muscle mass of fossilized animals. It's very interesting, involves lots of physics, working out the force the muscles would produce, and if that's enough to hold the weight of the animal. Next is the more freestyle bit. Fat, cartilage and skin, and other soft tissues that break down incredibly easy are near impossible to take a guess at in fossils, and the fat distribution on animals can make them look incredibly different. This is the bit that I think paleo artists seem to miss out on, the fact that prehistoric creatures are far more than just muscle stretched over bone. If humans were like that, we'd look terrifying. For Estemenisuchus, I've decided to add on just sort of a very basic, very common therapsid looking body plan, with sort of a bit more fat. I was hoping to add some more musculature and fat to the headpiece because the skull looks incredibly odd, but I decided against it. Just to mention, another part of Palaeoart is the positions, poses and dynamics. Palaeoart is very important in science communication. It's used in museum exhibits which attract a large range of people, so you want the artwork to draw people in and look interesting but still realistic. It's these things people need to consider when picking a pose. Is it a social animal? Does it need to be drawn in numbers? Is it a predator? Is it a prey? What kind of emotion are we trying to invoke in the viewer? Here I've gone for a more defensive position, as Estemenisuchus is a large omnivore and the bone structure in the skull makes me think a lot of hippos, which are known to be very fierce, and the odd horn-like features are reminiscent of moose antlers. That's another thing. A lot of paleo artists take reference from animals that exist today, and that's a good thing for both sides. It's incredibly difficult to come up with something entirely new from evolution, and it's also very hard to prove that those behaviours or structures would have had evolutionary benefit. So using adaptations that we know have led to successful species is a safe way to make a piece of art look more realistic, and on the other side, viewers can see an adaptation they recognise and therefore relate that in their head to other behaviours that can give the viewer more of an idea what the prehistoric creature was like without even reading anything about it. The only problem with taking reference from modern day creatures is that the environmental conditions may have been very different in geological time periods, so that may work. What may work today may not have worked back then. Now, onto the coloration of Estemenisuchus. There are many things to consider while picking colour, skin texture and patterning. The habitat of the creature is very important, as most animals tend to pick colours that help them camouflage, and patterning can be influenced by the surroundings, like tigers having stripes in the jungle versus lions being a plain colour on the savannah. But in warmer climates like rainforest, camouflage can go out the window to bright, crazy colours like parrots, dart frogs, tropical fish and nudibranchs. The climate of the mid-Permian Russia was cool and dry, sort of similar to England today, so I'm going to go for a brown, green, grey colour palette. Patterns and shades are really up to what the artist feels, and if they feel that the patterns are appropriate. Some of my favourite paleo art is the more stylised type, ones with insanely bright or fun colours and very stylised work, but I do wonder at what point paleo art just sort of becomes cartoons. With my drawing, I've decided to give this therapsid a light downy fur and some whisker-like elements. I feel that helps the viewer to realise that this isn't so much a reptile and is more mammal-like, though I have used some artistic freedom. After giving this guy a nice background, I've pretty much finished up. I hope you liked this video. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enjoy the Wildlife Society!